Standard Rinnegan. The standard Rinnegan, marked by 6 concentric rings glowing in a deep violet hue, is more than just a dojutsu. It is the eye of divine creation, a tool capable of seeing chakra networks with absolute precision and manipulating the very laws of life and death. Its first known wielder was Hagoromo Ōtsutsuki, the Sage of Six Paths, who inherited this eye from his mother, Kaguya Ōtsutsuki, after being born with her divine chakra. The Rinnegan allowed Hagoromo to perceive chakra in its purest form, master all 5 basic nature transformations without training, and read the stone tablet of the sage, a monument that contained the hidden truths about chakra, the 10 tails, and the origins of conflict among men. At its core, the Rinnegan grants the wielder control over the 6 paths techniques, 6 distinct abilities that divide the user's power into specialized forms. The Diva path controls gravity, creating attractive and repulsive forces that can flatten entire landscapes with Shinra Tensei or form miniature moons using Chibaku Tensei. The Ashura path augments the user's body with mechanical limbs and weaponry, turning them into a living war machine. The human path extracts the souls and memories of targets through physical contact, granting both information and death in an instant. The animal path summons an array of giant creatures, some capable of invisibility and infinite replication. The Predapath absorbs chakra-based attacks, nullifying ninjutsu entirely. Finally, the Naraka path calls forth the King of Hell, a spectral entity that judges truth, restores vitality, and can repair damaged bodies. Beyond these lies the Outer Path, a higher domain that manipulates life and death, enabling resurrection, control of black chakra rods, and command over the demonic statue of the Outer Path, the vessel of the 10 tails. Several figures throughout history wielded variations of this power. Hagoromo Ōtsutsuki was born with a pure, natural Rinnegan, which he used to seal the 10 tails within himself and become its first Jinchuriki. Madara Uchiha, through grafting Hashirama Senju's cells into his body, awakened the Rinnegan late in life, allowing him to access powers such as Limbo, which created invisible shadow clones existing in a parallel dimension. Nagato Uzumaki, given Madara's transplanted eyes, controlled 6 bodies through black chakra rods to form the 6 paths of pain, a network of corpses acting as extensions of his will, each representing a different path. Finally, Obito Uchiha seized one of Nagato's Rinnegan. Though the eye was not his by origin and he wielded only a single one, he drew immense power from it nonetheless. Tomoe Rinnegan. The Tomoe Rinnegan, wielded by Sasuke Uchiha, stands apart from every other Rinnegan in existence. Unlike Hagoromo's naturally born eyes, or Madara's artificially awakened ones, Sasuke's was neither inherited nor transplanted. It was granted. During the final battle of the Fourth Great Ninja War, after Sasuke's near-death experience, he encountered the spirit of Hagoromo Ōtsutsuki in a metaphysical realm. There, the Sage of Six Paths bestowed upon him a fragment of his own divine chakra, awakening a unique Rinnegan in Sasuke's left eye. This mutation combined the Mangekyo Sharingan's ocular evolution with the godly chakra of the sage, creating an entirely new form, a violet Rinnegan marked with 6 black tomoe arranged evenly around its rings. Each tomoe represented a residue of the Mangekyo's power, allowing Sasuke to retain and enhance all the abilities he once possessed. He could still use Amaterasu, the inextinguishable black flames, and summon his complete Susanoo, merging them seamlessly with Rinnegan-level techniques. The Tomoe Rinnegan granted him access to Amenotejikara, his signature space-time manipulation ability. This technique allowed Sasuke to instantly switch positions with any object, person, or weapon within a defined range. It required no hand signs or visual cues, just intent. The move was instantaneous, giving Sasuke a tactical advantage even against god-tier opponents. He once evaded attacks mid-air by swapping himself with a sword, striking his opponent before they could react. This wasn't teleportation in the traditional sense. It was spatial displacement, a total inversion of position. Beyond that, the Tomoe Rinnegan could open dimensional portals, gateways to alternate universes and realities, once traversed only by Kaguya Ōtsutsuki. Through this ability, Sasuke could travel between dimensions, track Ōtsutsuki invaders, and assist Naruto in rescuing allies trapped in sealed realms. However, each use required enormous chakra, limiting both frequency and scale. Even so, this ability gave Sasuke unparalleled mobility and access to realms beyond mortal reach. The Rinnegan also allowed him to use classic Six Paths techniques such as gravitational control and chakra absorption, though he preferred offense-oriented combat. Despite its power, the Tomoe Rinnegan had weaknesses. Prolonged or excessive use caused the Tomoe markings to vanish temporarily, reducing its functions and blurring Sasuke's vision. His chakra reserves, though immense, could be quickly drained during extended fights. Over time, he learned to manage this energy output, maintaining balance between raw strength and precision. The Tomoe Rinnegan thus became the embodiment of evolution, melding the Uchiha's curse of hatred with divine clarity to create one of the deadliest eyes ever seen. Rinne Sharingan. The Rinne Sharingan represents the origin of all-powerful Dojutsu, a divine predecessor to both the Sharingan and the Rinnegan. It first appeared in the possession of Kaguya Ōtsutsuki, the progenitor of chakra and the being who would later be worshipped as a goddess. Long before the rise of ninja or nations, Kaguya consumed the chakra fruit from the divine tree, merging with its cosmic energy and awakening an eye unlike any seen before. This third eye manifested on her forehead, deep crimson in color, marked with 9 black tomoe, set along concentric rings. While the ordinary Rinnegan symbolized balance and creation, the Rinne Sharingan embodied domination and illusion. It was not meant to protect the world. It was meant to control it. Through the Rinne Sharingan, Kaguya cast the infinite Tsukuyomi, the most powerful genjutsu in existence. By reflecting her eyes' light off the surface of the moon, she trapped the entire human and animal races in an eternal dream. Those caught in its glow fell into a permanent sleep, ensnared in illusions of their deepest desires, love, power, peace, or redemption, while their physical bodies were bound by the roots of the divine tree. Their chakra was drained to nourish the 10 tails, creating a self-sustaining cycle of illusion and consumption. Only individuals shielded by a Rinnegan and Susanoo could resist its power. Even beings with immense chakra reserves were rendered helpless, making the infinite Tsukuyomi the ultimate weapon of subjugation. This technique did not merely manipulate the senses, it rewrote mental reality, granting victims lives within a perfect world that could never exist. Beyond illusion, the Rinne Sharingan also possessed the ability to manipulate dimensions. Kaguya could open and traverse entire alternate worlds, each with distinct environmental laws, volcanic realms, frozen wastelands, acidic oceans, and voids without gravity or oxygen. She used these dimensions as weapons, forcing her opponents into lethal environments where survival was nearly impossible. This power blurred the boundary between reality and creation. She could alter the battlefield itself at will. Unlike most shinobi who used ninjutsu or tactics, Kaguya relied purely on her ocular power, space, time, and perception bent to her will. Her overwhelming strength required her sons, Hagoromo and Hamura, to unite their forces and seal her away, using the Six Paths yin-yang seal. The Rinne Sharingan thus stands as the primordial eye, the source of chakra's curse, and the origin of every divine technique that shaped the shinobi world. Red Rinnegan. Urashiki Ōtsutsuki could transform his eyes into a red Rinnegan marked with 6 tomoe, a form that granted him a high-level space-time ninjutsu known as Yomotsu Hirasaka. In this state, Urashiki could open interdimensional rifts that allowed him to travel freely across different realms, similar in nature to Kaguya's dimensional shifting, but used with far greater spontaneity. These portals appeared instantly and without preparation, giving Urashiki the ability to reposition, approach, or retreat from any angle at any moment. The offensive value of this form came from its ability to attack preemptively. Urashiki could open a rift beside an opponent and strike from an angle that bypassed conventional defenses. Because Yomotsu Hirasaka allowed movement between spaces that did not follow linear distance, He could appear in blind spots, elevate or descend instantly, and pressure opponents with assaults they had no time to read. This transformed the Red Rinnegan into a tool for both spatial dominance and surprise infiltration. Enemies had no reliable way to track his movement once a portal was created. Beyond simple transportation, Urashiki used this form to continuously disorient opponents. By shifting dimensions mid-combat, he prevented them from predicting positions or establishing stable ground. This made direct confrontation extremely difficult. The Red Rinnegan was therefore designed for mobility, pressure, and relentless ambush tactics, allowing Urashiki to shape the flow of battle entirely around unpredictable spatial entry points. Blue Rinnegan. Urashiki's second transformation turned his eyes into a blue, Tomoe-less Rinnegan, which enabled a different high-level space-time ability: the power to warp several seconds into the past. This technique acted as a micro-scale temporal rewind. Whenever Urashiki activated it, he returned to an earlier moment with full retention of his memories and awareness from the future that had just occurred. On its own, this ability served primarily as a defensive reset, undoing mistakes or escaping lethal attacks. However, its true strength emerged when Urashiki used it repeatedly in rapid succession. By cycling backward in time multiple times during a single engagement, he accumulated detailed knowledge of the immediate future. This allowed him to observe an opponent's attack pattern, test possible responses, and refine his choices until he identified a perfect solution. Through repetition, his defensive time warp evolved into a method of offensive optimization. After experiencing several variations of the next few seconds, Urashiki used the accumulated information to launch a counterattack calibrated with absolute precision. The opponent saw only a single moment, but Urashiki had effectively lived through several iterations of it. This temporal layering allowed him to convert foresight into strategy, making the Blue Rinnegan a tool for near-perfect prediction-derived counterplay. However, after Urashiki consumed his own eyes during his transformation, Jiraiya observed that he no longer used either the spatial abilities of the red form or the temporal abilities of the blue form. Jiraiya concluded that the loss of these powers was the cost of Urashiki's new evolved state, implying the techniques were tied directly to the eyes he sacrificed. Golden Rinnegan. The Golden Rinnegan, possessed by Momoshiki Ōtsutsuki, stands as one of the most unorthodox and parasitic manifestations of the eye. Unlike traditional Rinnegan users who wielded the dojutsu in their heads, Momoshiki's appeared in the palms of his hands, one in the right, one in the left. These eyes weren't designed for perception or insight. They were built for consumption. The right-hand Rinnegan absorbed chakra-based attacks and ninjutsu of any form, while the left-hand Rinnegan released them back with exponentially amplified power. This cycle of absorption and amplification defined Momoshiki's fighting style, a rhythm of theft and retaliation. Every technique cast against him became his weapon, turned back stronger than before. He could consume fire, lightning, wind, or even god-level attacks like Rasengan and return them in magnified bursts capable of reshaping entire battlefields. When dormant, these Rinnegan retained their red hue, but upon activation, they glowed gold, marking Momoshiki's transformation into a higher state of existence. This golden form manifested fully after he absorbed his own guardian, Kinshiki Ōtsutsuki, converting his essence into raw power. With that act, a third Golden Rinnegan opened on his forehead, granting Momoshiki overwhelming speed, strength, and chakra reserves that rivaled the combined might of Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha. Beyond raw energy, Momoshiki could create chakra fruits or pills from the energy he absorbed, consuming them to further boost his power instantly. This self-feeding loop of absorption and evolution made him a predator of chakra, capable of devouring life energy itself to ascend indefinitely. In combat, the Golden Rinnegan turned Momoshiki into a living feedback loop of destruction. His right hand erased any ninjutsu that touched him, while his left unleashed that same power multiplied several times over. Against the united forces of Naruto, Sasuke, and the 5 Kage, he demonstrated this ability by swallowing a combined barrage of elemental attacks and releasing a single counterattack large enough to level the arena. After absorbing Kinshiki, his techniques extended beyond imitation. He gained access to weapons and constructs made entirely of solidified chakra, shaping spears, axes, and constructs of energy with divine precision. Even in defeat, Momoshiki's legacy endured. Before his body disintegrated, he implanted his karma seal onto Boruto Uzumaki, transferring his consciousness into the boy as a vessel for resurrection. Though his eyes closed, the essence of the golden Rinnegan persisted within the karma, waiting patiently for the moment it would open again, when Momoshiki would return, reborn through his host's body.